Is.
About the ink.
Careful there.
We're live.
Perfect.
We're live.
All right, call the word. The time is 7:09 p.m. Wednesday, October 13th. Time is 7:09.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Hodgkins?
Here.
Clerk Commissioner DeVille?
Here.
Mayor Jacobs?
Here.
We have quorum.
All right. Do we have everyone back? No. Need a 10-minute recess so we get everyone back.
Make a motion in a second.
Motion for a 10-minute recess?
Second.
Commissioner Hodgkins?
Here.
Clerk Commissioner DeVille?
Here.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
10-minute recess.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we're live. Give me 2 seconds to put up the agenda. You could start though.
Okay. Additions, deletions, withdrawals to the agenda.
None.
Okay. 5, presentations, proclamations. 5.1, proclamation for the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Mayor, I'm going to have Marlon read this.
Okay.
You have it?
Yes. Whereas October 2021, the town of Pembroke Park stands with the courageous women and men who have been diagnosed with breast cancer and honor those who have lost their battle to this terrible disease. Whereas the second most common cancer affecting women, an estimated 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer over the course of their lifetime, and 281,550 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in the United States in 2021. And whereas we observe National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we are united in our community supporting the end of breast cancer and empathizing the lives of all those affected by this illness. And whereas we applaud the advocates, medical professionals, researchers, and caregivers who dedicate their lives to making progress towards cures. And this month we stand in solidarity with breast cancer survivors across the country, delivering hope to patients everywhere. Now, therefore, we, Mayor Jeffrey Jacobs, Clerk Commissioner Reynaldo DeVille, and Commissioner William R. Hodgkins, by virtue of the authority vested by the town of Pembroke Park, do hereby proclaim the month of October as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Commissioner Hodgkins? Clerk Commissioner DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Okay.
5.2, lobbyist reports. Lobbyist Siegerson and town manager.
The lobbyist team have submitted the reports for you there on the agenda.
In your emails, they should have gone to both of you. 6, public comments related to the agenda items, good and welfare. Any public comment?
Would you, good. You could sign sign it, please? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners DeVille and Hotchkiss. I never had a pleasure to meet you. My name is Daniel Ortiz. I'm supposed to be the town engineer, and I'm here because of the Agenda 12.2 to rebut anything that you might have any questions, because this memorandum has a lot of inaccuracies, and I was not given a chance to depose myself. So I don't know if this is the right avenue to discuss it, or you want to put it on a different agenda. But I'm here to discuss anything on that before you render your decision. 12.2. Okay, I just don't want to miss it, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other public comment? No public comment? Continue on. Number 7, consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the consent agenda?
Second.
Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner DeVille, seconded by Commissioner Hodgkins. Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
7.2, bills over 500. Finance Director Taubenfeld. Approve bills for payment.
Mayor, those are all under consent.
Okay. You know what?
Sorry.
Just went down here. Hold on. 7, so we're down to
8.
8 resolutions. 8.1. Recurring bills fiscal 2022, Finance Director Taubenfeld. Resolution number 2021-001. Town Attorney, did you want to read it by title? I'm sorry. That's okay. 8.1.
A resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Pembroke, Park, Florida, authorizing the payment of certain services, materials, and supplies which are procured on a regular or recurring basis for the fiscal year 2021-2022, providing for severability, superseding conflicting resolutions, and providing an effective date.
Motion to adopt?
Make a motion that we adopt. In a second.
He made the motion.
Sorry, I second.
Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner DeVille, seconded by Commissioner Hodgkins. Clerk Commissioner DeVille? Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkins? Motion passes 3-0. Clerk Commissioner, can you move the mic a little closer to you? Thank you, sir.
Okay, 8.2, appointment of commission title, Mayor Jacobs. Resolution number 2021-038. You want to read the resolution?
A resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Pembroke, Park, Florida, appointing the mayor, a vice mayor, and other commissioners' appointments set forth in the town charter, superseding conflicting resolutions, and providing an effective date.
Motion to, do we have to motion that? to
Yeah,
accept?
I think that you're doing
Discussion is really what I need on
Yeah,
that,
and
so-
then if you're gonna nominate somebody, you're gonna have to pass it down.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, so we'll open this for discussion. Seeing how we have a new commissioner here, I thought this was the best appropriate time to change and update everyone's titles here. I was going to nominate, pass the gavel. Let me hand it.
Actually, I'm sorry, I don't know that you need to pass the gavel to nominate him, but you need to pass the gavel if you're gonna make a motion or second it.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to nominate Commissioner DeVol as vice mayor and Commissioner Hutchins as the clerk commissioner, which takes care of the three titles for the town. Does it have to have all three? Would it be?
No, you can do whatever you want, but if you're gonna make a motion, you need to pass the gavel
Okay.
to whomever.
Pass the gavel.
So do you know what passing the gavel is?
You're now responsible.
So he is the, he is the mayor and chair of the commission.
Right.
Because he's mayor, cannot make a motion. If he wants to make a motion, he has to do what's called passing the gavel.
I see.
He's making you mayor temporarily so that he can make a motion.
Oh, I can actually.
You can go crazy while you're up there and mayor. No, so he's gonna go ahead and make a
Okay,
motion.
I'm going to make a motion that I maintain the mayor position, move Ray DeVol into the from the clerk commissioner position to the vice mayor position, and move you into the clerk commissioner position.
Okay, so you made that motion, now somebody needs to second that motion because you're mayor now, you can't second it, so Ray would have to second it.
I second.
Motion's carried.
Call for discussion.
Call for discussion?
Do you have any discussion?
No, I agree. I think that's the right way to go. It's three positions, and we assign them accordingly.
Roll call.
Mayor Jacobs,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner DeVille.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
There you go, now you can pass him the gavel back.
Nice while it lasted.
Congratulations to everybody.
Oh, we got through that. Okay, number 9, ordinances, second reading. 9.1, solid waste collection. Town attorney ordinance number 2021-005.
All right, it's done. Michelle Grooms brought me this very first thing. When I came to this town about a year ago, Michelle told me this needs to be revised and updated, especially in terms of some of the fees. And so finally, we're getting this passed. Ordinance number 2021-005. An ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Pembroke, Park, Florida, revising Chapter 11, Article 4, Division 4, solid waste collection of the town's code of ordinances, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in code of ordinances, superseding conflicting ordinances and resolutions, and providing an effective date. And this is second reading, so this will become law after if this passes.
Motion to adopt?
Second?
Discussion.
None for me.
Done for me.
Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner DeVille, seconded by Commissioner Hodgkins. Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner DeVille.
Vice Mayor DeVille.
Vice Mayor DeVille. Congratulations.
Yes.
Sorry. Did he say yes?
Yes.
He voted? Okay.
Did you vote?
Yes, I did.
Okay, sorry. Mayor Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Well, I gotta remember everybody's title again. God.
All right, 9.2. Different code ordinance, Town Attorney Anderson, ordinance number 2021-006.
So this is our new procurement ordinance. As you recall, we discussed during the workshop that we're going to, the biggest change of the ordinance is raising the amount that triggers an item having to pass commission. And that was in the past, 1,500. We did a survey of local governments around us, and it ranged everywhere, I think, from 50,000 down to 5,000. go up to 10,000. Anything 10,000 and below could be approved by the town manager. Still would need some
Bids and
bids and stuff like that, but could go through the town manager. And anything above would need to come to the commission. And then the rest of the chapters would reorganize, just to make an update to make sure it's in accordance with with Broward and state ethics and recent procurement updates that were listed. Ordinance number 2021-006, an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Pembroke, Park, Florida, amending Article 5, procurement by deleting the existing article in its entirety and replacing it with the new Article 5, procurement, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code of ordinances, the proceedings for grouping ordinances and resolutions, and providing an effective date.
Motion to adopt?
Discussion?
None.
Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Number 10, new business. 10.1, USDA Rule Development Bond, Finance Update, Finance Director Taubenfeld.
Good evening, Mayor, Clerk Commissioner, Vice Mayor. I come before you today to give you an update as it relates to the USDA Rural Development Bond, sewer bond that the town took out in 2009 for a sewer project in the town. We received notification from the USDA stating that what they use terminology, the town has graduated, meaning that they feel that we have financial stability and no longer in need of the bond. As part of the covenants and the requirements of the bonds, this is something that was written in the agreement. At any point in time, I guess they can call the loan if they feel that we are able to pay it. So what we're looking at now is roughly a $2,014,000 balance to pay off the note. You should know that for the last 10 plus years, the town has been making monthly payments, roughly $217,000, which were requirements for the USDA. One of them was to go into a construction account, one was for a reserve account, and the other one was for a sinking fund account. So $270,000. If the commission decides to pay off the note in full, the $2,014,000, the money that's currently restricted becomes available to the town, which represents roughly $1.1 million. That money would come back to the town and be free for the town to use in the sewer for anything related to the sewer fund. So just using rough numbers, if the town were to pay off the note, we're looking at roughly a balance of $900,000. Which would be outstanding, and I guess that's where I come before you now and ask what direction we would like to go. The two options that we have really at this point are to pay off the note in full with the reserves from the sewer fund, or option B would be to go out and secure a note for the remaining balance. Depending on how you want to look at it, just to add to the layers of numbers, we already have $217,000 budgeted for the current fiscal year. So in essence, the 900, you're looking at roughly taking out potentially a 700,000, assuming that you take the $200,000 already allocated for the budget towards that payment, that will leave you roughly a $700,000 balance that the town would probably need to go out and secure if they so choose. Just to give you some general ideas as it relates to numbers, speaking to Synovus Bank, who provided us with the note for the police department, you're looking at either a 5-year note or a 5-year or 7-year loan. 5 years, depending on the interest. 5 years, you're looking at roughly $105,000 a year in payments. So you're looking at roughly $740,000 in total payments over 5 years. If you decided to go 7 years, you're looking at roughly $106,000 of annual payments, totaling $750,000 a year. So we can go one of two ways. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you. If you need some clarity, I can give you some more clarity. But the option really is pay it off, not worry about the note, or secure another note for the remaining balance.
If I may, I'm sorry, Clerk, Vice Mayor. Harry and I have been tossing this around. The idea of paying it off is really tempting to us.
I would agree with that.
Is really attractive, and the reason being is because based on the payments that we currently are making right now, we wouldn't have those payments anymore, and we would make that money back in.
Make those money back in 3-4 years. The other thing to keep note also is, I know Heidi mentioned it in the last meeting. There's a project that's coming out of the sewer fund. There are other projects that are probably going to be forthcoming that more than likely are going to have to coming out of the sewer fund. So it's, I don't like the terminology, robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Which way do we want to go? We could take the note, which could eventually also, hurt us short-term and maybe securing additional notes if needed. Or, so again, it's really up to you, the commission decide which way you guys want to go, and obviously I'll follow what direction you guys want to take it.
Before the motion, Harry, so would you say that's what you recommend, we pay it in full?
I recommend that we pay it in full. Again, so the way, in looking at the numbers, the town is going out of pocket, again, assuming, right, you have a little over 2 million, we're getting back 1.1 once we pay it off. We'll have to lay out the full 2 million. Okay, the 1.1 goes from restricted to unrestricted. Goes from restricted to unrestricted, which means that money becomes available back to the sewer fund. So net that against the 2 million, right? So now you're at $900,000. Assuming that this letter didn't even happen, right? We'd be making monthly. We'd be paying $215,000 worth of payments to the sewer fund, right? So if we do nothing, we're just reducing the balance, right? But we could also, to stay within the budget, right? You take $200,000 and apply that towards the $900,000 balance. So again, in essence, we're going out of pocket roughly $700,000. For the $700,000, to me, I believe it's probably in the best interest of the town just to pay it off. Again, with other projects down the pipe that come down the line where we know we don't have the secured grants and funding, we might need to go out and get other loans. And again, I believe that there's sufficient money in the reserves right now to be able to offset the payment as well.
Okay,
I make a motion, we pay it off.
second.
Discussion.
Sounds good.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Vice Mayor DeVille.
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Public Service Director Clark.
Have him, he's going to do a little presentation that he has. He'll make it as brief as possible.
Which
And I'm gonna
the
read
lift station one?
Go ahead.
And then I also have something to say about the title after it's done. A resolution number 2021-056, a resolution of the town commission of the town of Pembroke Park, Florida, approving funds for an emergency procurement pursuant to section 2-16 of the town code, superseding conflicting resolutions and providing an effective date.
Motion to adopt?
No.
Not yet.
Oh,
I just want to kind of give you an idea of,
What the emergency is.
yes.
Why we're at.
Let's start with slide 1.
You can take the microphone out if you want to.
Yeah, let's start with slide 1 if you can.
That one, that way.
While he's doing that, I'm gonna just tell you that Robert and the town manager and I discussed this item, and in the future to deal with this, we've decided that a continuing services contract with a sewer contractor would help us take care of this kind of issue without having to ask for an emergency procurement. But in order to take care of the issues now, we need the emergency procurement. So this is why we're here, and the, director is gonna go into exactly what the emergency is.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present before you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Clerk Commissioner. My first 45 days have been exciting, to say the least, almost 45 days, and I'm bound and determined to provide the best quality of service here from the departments within my purview. As the town attorney has made it clear and brought to your attention that we have talked at length about the status of our infrastructure and in this particular part of it when it comes to the lift stations. I have met with a variety of different organizations. I've called in U.S. Water. I've called in Lift Stations R Us, just to name a few. And they all agree that we're on the cusp of a challenge, or it could be, I don't want to use the word catastrophe, but I would go as far as to say we don't want to be the cousin of Fort Lauderdale. So therefore, I put together a presentation of sounds and images that will demonstrate exactly where we stand, and a couple things that we can discuss, if you like, of where we can move into the future. So that is the pertinent request, and it is for emergencies not to exceed $25,000. And let's move forward. May I have the first slide, please? So for the uninitiated, for those of you who are not familiar with lift stations, I could probably get an engineer up here to discuss flows and calculations and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I know where the poop goes. And essentially what it does is it leaves from your house or your facility, and it goes down a pipe, and that pipe gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it reaches a treatment plant. And so those pipes have to have some level of maintenance, and that's where we are here. So we've identified lift station number 1, and we have rated the lift station from 4 to 1, 1 being the best, 4 being the worst. And I just wanted to point this out to you because there you may see some lift stations that will have a rating of 1, but just because it has a lift station rating of 1 doesn't mean that we're out of the woods. It still needs maintenance, and that is the purpose of my request to perform said maintenance. As we can see here, lift station number 1, and we have splice cables. So indicated, I don't know if anybody needs my microphone, but I can point here.
Need the microphone for the record.
Oh, okay, for the record, sorry. And so we can indicate where we have slice wires here, and that in itself causes has the potential for sparks. And dealing within a wet well with methane gas, we run the potential of a spark and or a hazard. Today I have one of my technicians here, and that is his job to open that hatch. And every day that he opens that hatch, there is a potential for a fire hazard. So we're talking about safety. Next slide, please. This is lift station number 2. As indicated, it is lift station rated number 1. The actual station is in good working order, and there's a little bit of grease accumulation in there, but all of that can be pumped out. As you can see with lift station number 2, certain things are painted, so you can identify the red and the blue. Now, in many cases, what happens is those areas there should have sump pumps if they were designed properly, and so therefore be able to pump out the excess water out of those areas, which would reduce the potential for rust in many cases. And so therefore, we can look at that particular space and say that it's not in bad condition. It's decently maintained, but therefore we could do more to make that lift station perform or have peak performance. Next slide, please. Lift station number 3 is rated at a 4, and here in this particular case here, next slide, please. We have wires that have been bundled. and that does not meet NEC guidelines for this particular location. Having a challenge here of identifying these issues puts us in a situation because we could, in fact, have in the past created more safety than we're willing to shoulder, issues that we're willing to shoulder in this particular case. So as I look at these pictures, as you can see, you don't have to be initiated in order to identify where there's a problem in these pictures, in these photographs here. You can see that this is deferred maintenance. This is, I don't know the term that I could use that would be appropriate, but this is not how I want to represent my department for you, okay? There will be no wire splicing, and that's a violation, and sure the building official would agree, that's a gross violation of the National Electric Code. So we have to solve that problem. Next slide, please. Lift station number 4 is a rating of a 1. As you can see, it's relatively clean. The service pipes are painted. The control panel is clean. Some grease buildup, but by and large, it's in pretty decent condition. Next slide, please. Lift station number 5 is a rating of 3. And with that, we have some issues where we have grinder pumps, single phase. That's old technology. And many of you who are initiated, that technology has gone away. We should have 3-phase pumps. We should have, to be perfectly honest with you, we should have the very best that we can afford. And what I mean by that is not necessarily do we blow the bank on it. What I'm trying to say is that we should budget for the future, not the present. And the present would be just to fix and or repair the systems that we have in place, but we have to identify those systems in the future and look for those opportunities to improve systems. So in this particular case, as you can see, I've identified with my team to where we have opportunities for repair. If you look at the device down in the bottom right-hand corner, it's burnt out. That particular device in and of itself is an integral part of what makes the pump system work. And it would probably be a less than $100 repair, but it could turn out to be more devastating to the pump systems long term. So we have to look at those opportunities for repair, and this goes back to the $25,000 request. Next slide, please. Here again is an example of a single-phase motor, and it needs those caps in order to work. And you can see there has been some corrosion as well as a high current that has run through the wires and causes them to burn out. And in many cases, these failures would have demonstrated, and we would never know simply because we have a redundant system. And that redundant system allows for one motor to continue to work. But the downside of that motor working is that it never turns off. So that means that without the proper inspection of the actual equipment and having credible and qualified individuals to come and take readings, this is very important that we take ownership of this type of failure. Next slide, please. Here again, a rating of 2. It just needs to be pumped out for the most part. If you can look at they're smaller pipes, which means that the service is a lot less than some of our larger pumps. But we're not looking at our control systems and seeing any damage to any of those systems. So we could get a pump out on this one and then add it to a monitoring system. Next slide, please. In this particular case, there we are, bare wires again. I've been informed that we have a rodent problem. I've addressed this, and we are moving towards minimizing the effects of rodents and pests. We're working towards that. We have to repair the insulation as well as fix the alarm, and that's an example. If we were to have an overflow of this particular pump or failure in this particular pump, the horns and sirens don't work. So that means that we would never know that this was a problem if it happens at 2 a.m. We wouldn't find it until the next day and God forbid over the weekend. So this is an indication of how that we need to address these issues. And in this particular case, only one pump is working of a two-pump redundant system. Next slide, please. In this particular case here, we're dealing with the same exact thing where we have consistent rust. Rust indicates corrosion and failure or potential for failure, and we have to address these issues. We have bare wire, which create a potential for a spark, and in a wet well, that's not good because we have trapped gas. Here again, also the audio alarm doesn't work. In this particular case here, we have done some assessments just to give you an idea, just to look at this particular pump system. Marlene, you see where it says Pembroke Park assessment? Just double click that for me, please. Up at the top. Okay, so it can't download it. Well, we've done an assessment of that particular one, and if I could pull it up, I was hoping that the slide would indicate it. But there's a dollar value to that just for repairs, and I can probably forward that to the manager and at some point get it into your hands for your review. But the point of it is that those dollar values, they become compounded over time. And if you look at that lift station, it's unassuming, but something as simple as that this is deferred maintenance. That's all this is. It's an old system. It needs to be identified for modernization, but it still works, albeit old and weathered, but is deferred maintenance which causes these systems to become an issue in the future. And the goal would be to identify those older systems, such as this one, and bring them up to speed. Next slide, please. Here again, an older system that has been identified, lift station number 13. In this particular case here, we have a lot of issues associated with this lift station and how we're dealing with three-phase motors, and we're operating at 230 volts, which means that the electric shock potential is high in this particular case. For this particular issue and these pumps, we don't have protection, safety protection. So where you see the belts, let me indicate them for you. Can't really show on the screen here with this thing, but let me walk over to it. This is a safety hazard because if a workman were in that area and that motor was to kick on while that person was standing next to him, if you notice, first thing in the morning, every morning at 8 a.m., I inspect my team to make sure that their shirts are tucked in. And a lot of people think it's for uniformity and me being a Marine, but it has more to do with their safety. When you get down in this hole and you're working on a piece of gear and your shirt gets caught up in that motor, and you got real problems on your hand. And I could say that's probably a 25-horse motor. A human being couldn't stop it from turning. So we want to identify those issues and address those as soon as possible. Next slide, please. We have identified components that needs to be changed. In one particular case where you see the motor at the top center picture, that motor is inoperable. And there's no belts on it. The pulleys need to be replaced. The pumps need to be rebuilt. And there's a dollar figure associated with all of them. And mind you, those dollar figures are far exceed the $25,000 that I'm requesting. Next slide, please. In this particular case, this is by far the worst that I've seen. And unfortunately, I'm embarrassed to present this to you. Some of the things that you see here for the uninitiated are are illegal bypasses. You see those white wires that are connected from the top of the breaker down to the bottom of them. That's illegal. That's a violation of safety to the highest degree. We have since corrected that, correct? We've gotten that corrected. As well as that breaker on the left, on the top left, the actual, I don't know what you would call it, the peg, the switch portion of the breaker is broken and penetrated within the front side of the actual breaker housing, which makes it unsafe.
But shut it off.
Yeah, so that's where the issue lies, is that it's either completely on or completely off, one or the other. As you look down to the contactors in the picture in the top left-hand corner, to where we see that the front part of the contactor is taken off and that the contactors are pinned, and a variety of other things that for those who are initiated will see that they would be disappointed in the condition of that actual control panel. And so therefore we're moving towards making the necessary repairs. And that's what brings up the point that the town attorney is talking about. A continuing service agreement would allow for us to be able to work on or have a qualified contractor to come and work in on these systems, simply because we're not set up for it. Now, I have the skills and ability to go out here and to change those, but the point is that I'm not supposed to be out there working on that equipment. And so therefore we would have to hire a trained electrician, engineer, for us to go out there and make those assessments, and in many cases to no avail, because the system is quite dated, which means that we would have to upgrade breakers, we would have to upgrade contactors, we would have to rewire panels. So in this particular case, in the position that it's in, it's also tilted. That here again is an example of a system that has to be modernized. We would have to go in, pull that system, or engineer it, reassess it, engineer it, and then come in and totally modernize that particular pump station. Next slide, please. Here are more pictures as to what we're dealing with this particular lift station. And we've identified the areas where that a point of concern, and we need to fix, have the Deputy Public Services Director out there monitoring and managing that system. So you see her there in the red shirt. I want to point her out. Next slide, please. Here again, lift station number 15. We know about that one, and thank you very much for your support. And we will be moving forward. I think we're coming real close to a contract. Is that correct, Ms. Attorney? For lift station 15, we're close to a contract? I think we are. We are? Okay. Yeah. Oh, so it's on the mayor's desk? Outstanding. So we'll be moving forward with that one, and so that will be one that we could knock off the list, and we can get that moving forward. And it is functioning, by the way, just so everyone knows, and we'll have the ability to provide service to our tenants in that particular location. Next slide, please. Here, lift station 16 is a rating of 3. In this particular case here, in the photographs on the left in the center, where we can see where conduit has deteriorated. It's things like that that we've identified that need to be improved. One of the pumps is out for repairs. Excuse me. And so because of that, then we have no backup pump for this particular station.
They rebuild the pumps?
So that's one of the things that we have to take a solid look at, because in almost all cases, we're looking to do rebuilds of the pumps and motors. However, there are limited warranties. So where you see larger municipalities who have the ability to provide that service in-house in many cases, where they can rewind motors and rebuild pumps, those facilities have the ability to do that in-house. But with us, we would have to trust our vendors and send those out. So it is always my recommendation to buy new pumps. Now, I know that there is a price difference, significant price difference between buying a new pump and a rebuilt pump. But I'm of the old school that says you either do it right or you do it again. In this particular case here, with these pumps, we could get away with, but the warranty is not as extensive as it would be if you were to buy a new pump. But yes, sir, to answer your question, we can rebuild the pumps as well as the motors.
You know what the lifespan is of the rebuilds compared to the lifespan of a new one?
So
We're talking 7 years here, right?
right. So here's the issue with that is because that would be pure speculation. And when I say pure speculation, meaning that I could go from pump rebuilder to pump rebuilder, and it's based on their warranty. But to say that what is the lifespan, there is no way to indicate because each one of them is going to do their specialty a little different. And it just would be just like an automobile. It's pretty much the same principle. You get lucky sometimes, so a lot of times you don't. Next slide, please. Here again, another rating of 4, lift station number 17. And we can identify the challenges that we have before us with power cables, and the visual alarm is not working, and a variety of other things that we have in place. Certain covers, so as you can see on the blue motor in the top left-hand corner, to where the wires are exposed. Now, I haven't seen it, but I understand that that particular location has to have a sump pump in it, and there's a metal door on the top of it. So if we were to have that sump pump fail and that were to fill up with water, then if the pump was to energize, it would energize that entire, I don't know what you might call it, enclosure, if it were, and then run the risk or hazard to the technician when he opens it. Next slide, please. Here again is the indication of what it looks like and some of the challenges that we face in order to make the necessary repairs. Next slide, please. Lift station 18, a rating of 2. Here again, some of the challenges that we need to get the alarms going. And these are simple fixes in order to bring those up from a 2 to a 1. Ideally, we want to get all our pumps up to a 1 minimum. Next slide, please. Lift station number 19 is a rating of 1, is one of our larger ones. And as you can see, they've taken good care of this one. The painting doesn't seem to be chipped, and the floats seem to be working properly, and we have no need for pumping out, but they have identified certain things that will work to our benefit. As you can see there, check valves changing, things of that nature. Lift station number 22. Here again, this station has a lot of clear water in it, so we're going to have to look at the potential for water intrusion in the pipes that supply this particular lift station. That is an issue because we pay for sewage. So we don't want clear water. We only want sewer water coming into these pump stations here. And that would work as a savings for the town if we were to identify where the clear water, if there was in fact water intrusion in the system. And there's other exponential issues associated with water intrusion because it brings in silt. Silt is horrible on pumps because it wears down the metal materials just like sandpaper. And over time, it'll cause your pumps to fail. In some cases, you can't rebuild them after they fail from the dirt or sand intrusion. Next slide, please. Here again, they have identified that there's a potential for water intrusion in the wet well. So we have to get engineers out to scope the pipe and see if we can find it. Next slide, please. Lift station number 24 looks like it just need to be pumped out. It looks like in relatively decent condition. Everything seems to be in order. If we could just get it pumped out, we're in good shape with this one. Next slide. Here's a rating of 2. Some of the challenge that we see in some of the photographs to where that We need to identify some of the conduit where the pipes run through, well, not the pipes, but the wires run through. And that is a potential for water intrusion in some cases. And we can easily chip that out. There's a cost associated, obviously, but we could chip that out and repair that and get that back up to standard. Here again, lift station number 26, rating of 1. And this station is working good. Everything seems to be in proper order. Next slide, please. 29, another station that looks to be in proper order that can stand to be pumped out. Next slide. Same here. Next slide. Lift station number 31, same here. Next slide. 32, same thing. Next slide. 34, again. Okay, so this is a continuation of that one. It's one of our larger wet wells. Number 35, same. In this particular case right here, a rating of 2, and it recommended we pressure wash it. But some of the things that I find that are challenging with lift station number 37 is wire splicing. And I'm not in favor of it, and I doubt it meets National Electric Code. So this is one of the cases to where that we have to, and understand what we have to do in order to cure this problem. We have to pull the pump, and then we have to run new wire. And hopefully it wasn't cut too short. If it was, then we have to take the pump out and then have wire added to it, which is an expense associated with that. In this particular case here, with them being exposed in the wet well, there's a potential spark hazard. Next slide, please. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I did have a couple dollar figures associated with a couple of lift stations, and my calculations is somewhere near, for just 3 different lift stations to be repaired, is close to $100,000. So these are the kind of numbers that we're facing when it comes to making the necessary repairs with these lift stations. For the most part, I hope I enlightened you as to the condition of some of the town's infrastructure, and hopefully we'll be able to come to some sort of understanding as to where we are and where we want to go. There's no possible way for me to make that determination, even though I've had someone come out and take a look at it. They are unwilling to give me lift station by lift station quote to identify where we are without a full comprehensive survey of these lift stations, because it's like anything else. If you have let's say a 1972 Pinto, right, and it may have gone down for a distributor cap issue or whatever the case may be, and the guy say, yeah, $30, we'll fix it. And then no one has that distributor cap. You say, you quoted me $30, my friend. So, and so that is the condition from which these professionals are looking at this. There's no way that we could give you an adequate ballpark as to where we are. But I would venture to say that you can anticipate that the expense will be ongoing until we get them all up to a rating of 1.
It'll all be in a cost-plus basis, you know?
Absolutely.
Which is why it's important to get a continuing services contract or contracts in place as soon as possible after this resolution. So they're going to need to go out for.
Mayor, as you can see, I mean, I always joke with Rob because he's a man of few words, and he keeps it brief and to the point. I joke around with him a lot, but he put a lot of work into this. You see this, you see the situation that we have. There's some that are in good shape. There's some that are in just really bad shape. But I asked him when he started, I'm like, I need to know what's out there. I need to know what we have. And he hit the ground running, and you can see.
Exactly what the town needed was an assessment of where we're at.
I also think we should have maybe had this presentation before dinner.
I apologize.
That's all right.
I can take it.
He's got a weak stomach. Sorry.
He hasn't had none of that Navy chow yet.
He hasn't.
But anyway, that's why we need the the emergency procurement so that we can at least fix some of the more urgent.
So the 25,000, is that continuous or one time per year?
No, it's a one-time $25,000, not, and he may not even use the entire $25,000, depending on how quickly we can get these continuing services contracts in place. But it's an up to $25,000 spending, that pot that he has to start fixing the issues which are causing imminent threat of disrupting the town. And that's the way the emergency section reads, that if there's an imminent threat to something which would disrupt the residents, that it's considered an emergency, and you can actually, didn't even need to come to the commission for the allocation, you can do it without coming to the commission. He's here, and he's asking for up to $25,000 in emergency procurement, so that you can take care of these imminent.
Basically the ones that are fours, and I'm thinking more of the electrical issues, if I'm not mistaken, some of those wiring.
Explosive.
The dangerous situations is what we're looking at.
Primarily what the goal is to, this $25,000 I'm asking you is so that I never embarrass the town of Pembroke Park on something that is less than $25,000. Meaning that, we would have to meet and get approval. This is to say that, hey, Rob, if it's less than 25, go get it fixed. If it's going to cause a problem.
Does that include the lift station pump for Station 1?
That includes all of them, meaning that I've discussed it with the town attorney, and that's a single-use vendor, and that single-use vendor will provide that service. Now, there are certain situations to where if we blow our last pump and the thing is $70,000, obviously I have to make that request through the proper channels. But in that particular scenario, what we're hoping for is that we have a pump that we can get fixed for less than $25,000, as opposed to have to replace one for $100.
You're not going to have, hopefully we're not going to have this situation.
That's the goal.
I think I understand what Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins was asking. You're talking about 10.3.
Oh,
and
10.3,
10.2.
okay.
That's why when he mentioned lift station 1. That's what he was referring to, right?
That's a different thing.
But that wouldn't be part of the 25,000?
No, sir.
Casey, what's your recommendation on this?
Approving it.
I would approve it. I think that he showed me some stuff which is pretty scary, which needs to be taken care of immediately. Oh, you mean the title? Yes, I read the title. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Right, 10-3. Pump replacement lift station 1 for the service director.
Ms. Clerk, could you go back to that first slide for Pump Station 1?
Can I, while she's looking for the slide, so, as I understand it, having discussed this with Miriam last year about pumps and sole source, because we've been through this issue before on these pumps. And this really is a sole source procurement, because as it's been explained to me, and as Robert alluded to earlier in his presentation, apparently when companies manufacture these pumps, they also, they want to maintain them too. There's a warranty that goes along with that, and so if you go outside of service or outside of coverage and you get somebody else to repair the pump, then it's going to fall out of warranty. So you have to go back to the same company that sold you the pump in order to get the pump serviced or replaced or whatever it is that needs to happen. Is that, I mean, am I correct?
It's also because the supplier is the only one in South Florida, in the South.
Well, that's what I meant. Whoever manufactures the pump. Right. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, whoever manufactures the pump. First of all, the pump is manufactured in Ireland, which is so when they ship it here, they only ship to certain location in the U.S. So you have regional area, and we happen to be in this.
So in
region.
other words, there are very limited sources of people who can work on these pumps. So it's a true sort of sole source procurement where there is no other vendor who can do the work according to the business terms, and therefore it is a sole source, and you need to go with these folks, which is why we're not bringing you competing bids.
Right. And it's also because they're a duplex system. So one pump goes out, and we have to replace it. It has to be the same pump. They won't be compatible with different manufacturers.
So it's a way, it's the ability for the manufacturer to have proprietary control over their equipment, and it's not uncommon for foreign companies to have local distributors for their particular equipment with the intention of knowing that there's planned obsolescence associated with it and that the equipment will fail at some point, and that you'll have to do a total revamp or you have to come back and see them. And there's no in between.
And so that's why they brought you this. It's actually a fairly minimal request because it's only $7,500. And under the new procurement code, they wouldn't even need to come to you, so they could go directly to him as an example, but they have come to you, and so that's their request. I'm sorry if I took away your
No,
presentation.
that's
I
it.
just wanted to explain sole source.
Thank you. That's good.
I recommend approval.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk about this. And one of the things that I identified, well, we have and my deputy here helps me out with this, but I saw a fantastic flagpole right in front of the Parks and Recreation building. What disturbed me is that the flag was tied up around a branch in a tree, and the lights didn't work. Now, some of us veterans, we have fought and died for that thing. And when I say that thing, I say it respectfully, meaning that there are so many veterans have stood up and answered the call to protect Old Glory. And it disturbed me when I walked out there and I saw it wrapped around a tree branch and it was tethered. So therefore, I immediately instructed my team to fix that. So they're working on getting the lights and trimming the trees back. It looks a lot better, and we put a new flag up. Only to find out we had 3 other flag poles on the other side of the park that there was only 1 flag up. And it was improperly presented, but that's another discussion. But the point of it is that it wasn't where it was supposed to be, and there were 2 other poles there where we should have been displaying 2 other flags. Which brought me to the point is that I would like to ask the commission to adopt a new flag design, and it should have been in the presentation, but I don't see it here. But we have, and it will make it to your various emails from which to adopt. But I think we should have a town flag. Now, I haven't seen one. I've walked through and asked a bunch of people about it. Have they seen a town flag or anything like that? And I think it should be demonstrated. Here it is, right here. It should be demonstrated, and it should fly high along with the state and American flag. I understand at some point we were flying the Canadian flag. I don't know if that's a point of discussion, how we want to handle that, but the American flag should be on the proper pole as well as the state flag. And if we so decide to fly our town flag, which I highly recommend we do, if we're able to adopt one, or we can go out for a design, whichever you see fit. But I'm very passionate about this thing. I'm more passionate about this than I am about lift stations. Because as I see a retired E9 in here, he would have my back, no question about it, and a mayor who has served his time. So, you know, to be perfectly honest with you, they understand what I'm talking about. That flag thing is very near and dear to my heart. So I would like, or I would request that you give this some consideration. And if you don't like the design, I'll bring my team back in and we'll redesign it. We'll make it pop, whatever it takes. But I'd like to see a town flag.
If you guys are in favor, we can come back with some options.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Yeah.
A direction, because then when we bring it back, we'll.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on. 10.5, additional radios, police department, interim police chief highway.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioner. The need for the additional radios will be based on the hiring of part-time and auxiliary officers to complement our full-time staff. So we went out and got another bid for 10 more radios.
These are being purchased through a cooperative. That is why you don't have any competing numbers in here. Under the procurement code, you're purchasing piggyback or through cooperative, you do not need to go out for competitive solicitation. The total is $69,499.41.
Entertain a motion?
I have a question. Is it just the radios, or is there, because I'm seeing other items on
Yeah, there's little antennas with them as well. But yeah, for the most part, it's just the radios. Trinkets, lift stations.
Lift station.
The money's in the radios, Vice Mayor.
Motion to adopt?
I'll second.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve, sorry.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Mayor Jacobs. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
10.6, additional Adobe licensing, IT director.
So, while he's walking up, this is another cooperative. NASPO is a cooperative, NASPO is a cooperative purchasing.
For the state.
It's not even for the state, it's like an organization, but anyway, this is purchased through a cooperative, so the requirements of the procurement code are met.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Mark Pakula, IT Director. Those are just adding some additional licenses for people who need it. Any questions? Adobe. Partially the police department. No problem.
That's the cost, 1,800, 1,810?
Yes.
I'll second.
I need to entertain a motion to approve.
And to approve?
But you already did.
Okay,
I'll second.
perfect. Discussion? None? Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
First annual music fall festival, event coordinator Brown. Hi, Ms. Brown.
Hello, I think now's a good time to convey to the commission that Ms. Brown was nominated today and didn't receive it, but was actually nominated to be the Broward County Chiefs Association Civilian of the Year for her efforts in the police department. So. Okay, can you, Clerk Commissioner, or Town Clerk, can you put up the flyer for me off the website?
You gonna tell us about the fall festival?
I am. Bring your blankets.
This was not here. It's right there.
So the Fall Festival will be October 29th. We have, I want to say, 4 food trucks coming, a live band. Yeah, Chico and the Virga. And they're advertising it on Hot 105 and some other outlets as well. And I'm gonna talk to Deidre Davis tomorrow, and we'll get it sent out on the text every other day or so to remind everybody. It should be fun. Bring your own chairs and blankets was something from the Northeast. I just kind of liked it there. So, any questions?
I'll help out a little bit. This is the first event that they're putting together for a fall music festival for us. There'll be live music. They want everyone bringing their chairs, just as the chief said, blankets, sit out, enjoy the music, have some food, and enjoy the evening in Pembroke Park. Hopefully the temperatures will be a little cooler and it's not raining. So I hope it's that.
I like it. I like the new spin on our traditional festival with the live band and the food trucks.
I was going to have Ms. Brown sign each one, and we were going to sell them, but she didn't want to do it as posters.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I second.
Oh, let's do it.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs. Motion passes 3-0.
Yes.
Chief, one question. Do you know how much that event's going to cost?
Pardon, I'm
Do
sorry.
you have a cost for that event, by any chance? The cost?
I can get it for you. I think right now we're meeting with the sheriff's office, I think this week, correct, for the event? Yeah. So after that, we'll know. Okay.
All right, thank you. 10.8. All right, that's me, I guess. Florida League of Cities Legislative Conference in Orlando. This is also the League of Mayors. There's a meeting up there as well. So this is November 3rd through 5th. Entertain a motion. And wait, before we do that, JC, this is just the information. This isn't the vote item, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really,
I believe we discussed multiple times on legal travel isn't, or League of Cities for travel for connection is information.
yeah, it's just really opening it up to see if anybody else wants to attend.
Anyone else want to go? it's an information, not a voting. 10-9, we have Broward Days. Will be held January 18th, 19th, 2022. All commissioners are encouraged to attend, plus one town staff, Mayor Jacobs and Town Manager Jimenez. We did meet with Chevron today and had a discussion with Chevron, and he recommended us coming up within the next couple weeks, was it?
No, in early January. He did say
Broward Days.
before Broward Days. He says before or right after Broward Days.
He said Broward Days is a difficult time up there. But I put it on here. It's, again, this wasn't a vote item. It was an information item saying that I was going to be up in Tallahassee. It might be prior to this. I might go up prior to Broward Days. Or after Broward Days, depending, to meet with our Representative Marie Woodson and Senator Chevron Jones and a lobbyist up there to help bring funds back to our town. If anyone else wants to go up, they're more than welcome to. So just look at your calendar, see what you're available for. League of Cities, we have Broward, we have Florida, and we have National, and there's different committees you guys can sit on. And this helps bring funds back to the town. So
I will
will
say,
go to that one.
yeah, I will say if you haven't been to Tallahassee yet during session, it's an eye-opening experience. So I would encourage you all to at least go once and see what it's all about. It helps for the electeds up there, for the representatives and senators to see our faces. They'll remember us that way.
our lobbyists will take you around and just make sure you wear comfortable shoes because they're going to be dragging you everywhere for the time you're up there.
A lot of walking.
You will do a lot of walking and a lot of talking. So, also, we have the 90th annual. I'm moving on to 211. Again, an information item. 90th annual meeting. And wait, I'm sorry, I jumped over one. 90th winter meeting for mayors in Washington D.C. will be the 19th and 20th in January. I'll be attending this one for sure. With Broward Days, because they're conflicting at the same time, and after the discussion with Chevron today, I think I'm going to go earlier in the month up to Tallahassee, and then later in the month to DC. And you guys are welcome to go on those as well. Oh, well, that one's the mayors. We have a National League of Cities conference as well in Salt Lake City later this month. I didn't know if you guys wanted to attend or not, but if you do, we have dates available on that. And I believe it's towards the end of the month. I'll make sure Marlon has that information. Then we have the 90th annual meeting in Reno, Nevada, June 6th through 3rd. That's for the mayor's meeting there. I'll be attending that as well next June. 10-12, Florida Municipal Clerks Conference, October 17th through 22nd in Daytona, Florida.
It's actually just for informational purposes as well. I will be attending the conference next week, and the goal is that by the end of the week, I will be certified with my CMC certification.
Awesome.
Races? Oh, in Daytona? Not sure.
All right, moving on. Old business. 11.1, hiring Miguel Nunez as a full-time building official. Mayor Jacobs, HR consultant in Augusta.
Hello, Mayor and Commissioners. So, as you recall, we had this topic for quite some time to discuss Miguel Nunez, who is currently a part-time employee, a part-time building official. He's earning $60,000 right now as a part-time employee. The range for this position, if it were considered full-time, is between $83,000 to $128,000.
and he has requested to become a full-time employee with us. So that is the item. Do you have any questions for me?
Sorry,
From the last meeting, you had stated 120. At this time, the commission would have to determine if you would like for Miguel to be full-time and then what the salary would be.
Motion to hire Miguel Nunez as a full-time employee at $120,000 per year.
I'll second it.
discussion? Roll
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
All right. Item 12. Oh, come on up. You're limited to 3 minutes, though.
This is the few times that you had the opportunity to address as a person, not as a department head. I want to thank the commission, mayor, the commission for giving me the opportunity to continue my services to the town of Pembroke Park, now as a full-time capacity. And I promise you that you have my full integrity into the position. Thank you.
Still got 2.5 minutes.
I don't speak that much.
Thank you.
Actually, I apologize. I forgot to mention something. The actual effective date was something that I had also asked the commission to consider because Miguel has been working full-time, even though he's only been compensated part-time. He's been working full-time since August 1st of this year. So because again, right, this is an item that we've had up for a little bit of time. So I did want to just bring that up to the commission to discuss what would be the effective date of this change. I think I'd like to defer to the manager on this one.
You tell
You're going
me.
to defer back to me. Thank you.
So let's just discuss what that means.
So what that would mean is that his compensation would be retroactive to the effective date that is determined by the commission. And again, this was something that was presented technically over the summer. We didn't have the opportunity to meet until October. We went back, we did research, gave the information to the commission, and then we brought it up in the workshop to discuss it, and now the final approval. But he has been here since August 1st, working full-time every single day, probably more than 40 hours a week.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt. You're looking at roughly $10,000 in gross wages for the 2 months, if you wanted to go retro back to August 1st.
Thank you.
No, it's only August and September. It's only 2 months worth.
I think the commission is part to blame for the delay and stuff being drug out when it comes to this.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Going back to August, right?
The motion?
Yes.
Back to August?
Yes.
Second.
Discussion? Everyone okay with that? Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Vice Mayor DeVille.
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs.
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Number 12, discussion. This is going into one of our longer meetings, you guys realize this.
About the lift station, Tom.
Change the date for our regular commission meeting. I will defer to Marlon.
Okay, so we're looking at the calendar for the month of December, and our regular commission meeting is scheduled for the 8th and our workshop is scheduled for the 22nd. So what we were looking to do, if you all agree, would be to, the mayor's not going to be available on the 8th, but we wanted you to check your calendars for the 15th. We could have the regular commission meeting moved over to the 15th, and then if we needed a workshop, we would also have it at the 15th. Therefore, we don't have to have two meetings in that month. We would just have one meeting, and it would consist of both the workshop and the regular meeting.
I said just 2 meetings a day.
Yes, sorry. Is that what I said?
No.
Okay, I'm confused now. What did you say?
We'd have the 2 meetings in one day. So if we have the workshop, let's say we need a workshop, we'd have it on the 15th, and the same thing with the regular meeting.
I'd make the recommendation that we just go with a commission meeting. I don't think we're required to have, we're not
No.
required to have a workshop. So for this particular month,
December.
Let me explain a little bit. This summer, I had a week's vacation from work, from my full-time position, where I spent in Orlando working for the town. And so I haven't had a break. My days are continuous between the town and the airline, town and the airline, town and the airline. And I finally have an opportunity to spend a week with my family. My parents are coming in, so I am taking a week's vacation, and I will not be in town the day of the commission meeting. So that is the whole purpose of changing that, the night of that meeting. So I'm not going to be available that week. So we're trying to find a date that everyone can come. Plus we got the holidays, that month as well. So it's up to you guys on how you want to proceed for the month, with just a meeting or a workshop, because workshops are not required.
So it would be the following week after the 7th, Marlon? Right, the
You want it
15th?
on the 15th?
I'm
Yeah,
fine
the
with
15th is between one meeting and the other. The only reason why I brought up the 2 meetings is because that way I already get your approval to change the date, but that doesn't mean we need a workshop or we'll have a workshop. The main thing is just the regular meeting to change it to the 15th.
Okay, see, your puzzled look is the same thought I'm having,
So the 15th is going to be the regular meeting.
Correct. And if
There will be no workshop, and that's it.
if a workshop is needed, we could have it that same day. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so if the workshop is necessary, we'll have the
No,
workshop before the
it's
meeting?
not necessary, though.
No,
as of today,
unnecessary
it's
in items is what I'm talking about, not necessary according to charter. Just if we had
If there's
items,
any items
that's
that
what
are
I was
necessary
trying to
be
say.
workshopped. Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
And
I
we'd have the
understand what you're
workshop
saying
at 6, and we'd have the regular meeting at 7.
now. Translate, Marlon.
Thank you.
All right. I'll introduce.
Night, you mean, or in general?
Hey, look, I've been shooting for the hour, 2-hour meetings, and we've been doing really good for the last almost year now,
Not
so.
complaining.
All
I make a motion to change it to the 15th.
Second.
Discussion? The only discussion I have would be that it would be, as Marlon designed, as Marlon stated, if we have to have anything workshop, that we do have a workshop prior to the meeting on that day.
Okay.
But that's the only discussion I have. Any other? No? Roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Vice Mayor DeVille. Mayor Jacobs?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Meetings will be changed in December to December 15th.
12.2, personnel matters, town attorney, town engineer, HR consultant, Menegazzo.
Mr. Mayor, as you know, there are a number of positions that the commission, they appoint or they hire and terminate. I have to bring to you a recommendation, from time to time, about somebody's employment status. I have made a recommendation regarding the town engineer. I don't want to be airing dirty laundry or anything like that. I gave you guys the recommendation. It speaks for itself.
I just wanted to state that we're here again in case you have any questions, and also I'm in support of this recommendation, as well as our Public Services Director, who's had the opportunity to assess his staff, including the town engineer, for the last 45 days that he has been working for the town.
Yes, I'm in support of the decision.
And Mr. Ortiz wanted to speak on this?
Thank you for letting me speak. I wanted to bring it up to your attention at the beginning, but good evening again, Mayor, Commissioner DeVille, Vice Mayor DeVille, excuse me, and Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, which I never had the pleasure to meet. I have been working with the town for a little over a year and 4 months. And it's been a pleasure working with you, with everybody. I have encountered many challenges. I have, I don't think anybody will have any problem with my competency. So this is not a question of competency. This is a question about of recommendations regarding misconduct, if I'm correct. The recommendation memorandum that it was written has a lot of inaccuracies. You have to understand where I'm coming from. I have, from the beginning, I started working in a position that didn't have any office. I didn't have a problem with that. Then I was moved to another office back in the back where the building department is set up right now. I was there shortly, and then eventually I moved to, because the remodeling of the building department, to the office, which is in front of the commissioner's conference room and the lobby. And many times I have been interrupted there, and people use it, just opening the doors and coming in as they please and just go out the next door just because they need to use that as a passageway. I recognize that my temper at that time, or my reaction was, what are you doing in here? I don't need anybody to interrupt me when I'm doing something. And people take that as a saying that I'm a person difficult to work with, but I'm really like to have respect. Okay, and I posted signs on the door for people to knock and mask up because of this COVID. I'm very particular about this, and nobody respects that. The latest incident with the new director of a public service director, Mr. Roberts. He thinks that this is the military. He still thinks probably he's in the military. He has to learn how to ask questions, not to demand and say obey. And I'm here looking at this, that I'm if I don't agree on something, he will take it the opposite way. So this is the last drop in the bucket, if you want to say. I was working very nicely with Miriam, that I thought she was very competent, but I had a lot of latitude, and she respected my position until Mr. Roberts came in. I disagree on the entire content of this letter, of this memorandum, with the exception of the third paragraph. I also would like to point out that human services is not a title. It's supposed to be something attached to it. And she forgot to put Mr. Yolanda title is, it's supposed to have something in the town. I don't see her in the town, what do you call,
Position?
organizational chart being her in that position. So she doesn't have any role in this, in my opinion. She's a consultant. And I really had her run-ins with her from the beginning, from the get-go when I started. Starting with sending me for a urine test with the wrong account information, which had to wait for 2 hours, and telling me that I cannot, I have to come back again to do the test because she forgot. She didn't have the right information, and she didn't own it. She didn't say it's my mistake. So right there from the get-go, I started some things with the Ms. Menagaso that did not own to the mistake and saying, we'll fix it. Could you please go back and have done the test again? So I said, the test is there. I put P in the cup. It's there. I'm not going to go back. So things started to escalate from the beginning. So I would say that I don't agree with a lot of things that she's done. And I respectfully would say that it was nice working in here. Whatever decision, it's fine. I don't have any problem with it. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
I will entertain a motion for discussion.
Adopt first?
Sorry?
Have to adopt first before we go into discussion?
No, you have to make the motion, second it, and then go into discussion.
I have a motion to what?
To adopt my recommendation, to accept my recommendation.
Motion to adopt the recommendation, the manager's recommendation.
I'm going to second it.
Discussion?
Okay, Mr. Can you come up, please? I have a couple of questions. Okay, you mentioned one incident that happened.
Now, I have a few, but I've just mentioned one.
Okay, with that one, how did you handle that situation?
Which one? The one
Either one, doesn't matter. Like,
with Ms. Menagaso?
either one, like, do you go to your manager? Who do you report to? Who do you?
No, I just said it to her over the phone. I'm not going back to take the test. That's all I did.
Not just that. But let's say, like, when you're in your office and they go through, they're disturbing you, do you take the proper steps, to go through the proper channels and report those incidences? Or do you take it upon yourself?
Excuse me, sorry. I jumped up. Didn't let you finish.
No, that's it. Or do you take it upon yourself to resolve those?
No, I would. I don't like to go complain for small things. When something is bothering me, I will tell the person right in front of the face I don't have any hidden agenda, and I would say what I have. No, some people might think when I talk that my voice is loud. That's the way I speak, and I want to make sure the person understands.
The issue I'm having is the fact that it's multiple incidences. That's well documented by HR. Really, I'm not sure what else to say because everything they put on the reports, as we've read, it's an extensive report of multiple times that you were reprimanded, written up, or had a discussion with. Seems like it's an ongoing thing that we shouldn't be having in a town.
That's what I'm contesting. The information in there is inaccurate. The information in there, it's not telling all the truth. I have backup information with emails and all that, but my access to emails, I don't have anything right now. So I can tell you what I have. I'm documenting a lot of stuff, but I don't have it right now.
That's it for me.
Table something. Till he has the information, or, I mean,
This is really discussion anyway.
Yeah, we're just in discussion on this with the motion on the table. Because a lot of this is personnel issues, it's not something I really want to discuss.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
guys.
I think the code is a little bit deficient in this area. It gives the commission the power to hire, but it doesn't say much more than that. So my comfort level as an attorney is that the findings have been put into writing and presented to the commission, and you guys have had time to consider it. And Dan has had an opportunity to address you, and it's probably best to just
And there is.
keep commentary.
There is a procedure to follow after the fact if you disagree with the findings with the personnel. So, that, it can be discussed at a future time. So, like I said, there's issues here that I just do not feel comfortable discussing in the public forum, as we're, in a commission meeting. But the way our charter is written, we've taken the recommendation of 3 of our town manager, our HR director, and our public services director, and this is the recommendation that they're making to the commission. And, so this is the decision, we have to make at this time. So, there's, again, procedure for you to follow after the fact, and you can still obtain all your emails through public records requests.
Yes. I don't have anything, whatever decision you make. It's been a pleasure working with everybody. I know I'm done, not in talking to everyone. I'm always hidden doing something, working on something that is for the benefit of the town. That's all. Thank you very much.
Any more discussion?
None for me.
No.
Roll call.
The Hodgkins asked to table it.
Beg your
No,
pardon?
he didn't
No,
ask to
because
table it.
you-
He asked about
Oh,
tabling.
okay.
Thank you.
That's different.
Thank you. Yeah, I make a motion that we follow the town manager.
We already have a motion.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, I'll second it then.
You already
You gotta
seconded
turn up
it
that
too. It's
humidity.
okay. All right, roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor DeVille, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkinson.
And just,
Hodgkins?
can you read what the motion was?
The motion was, the recommendation was to terminate the town engineer, Mr. Dan Ortiz. Okay. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor DeVille,
Yes.
Mayor Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Item 13, town and attorney reports.
I have tentative good news in that we are very close to settling Progressive. We continue discussions with them. We had the Michelle Riley case dismissed last week, so if the Progressive case is settled, that will mean we are done with any active litigation.
We can breathe for a little bit.
You can breathe for a minute. Cross your fingers, and I may be calling an executive session in order to discuss these issues.
Sounds good.
And that's it.
All right. 14, town manager reports.
For the sake of time, I don't have any comments right now. I will provide a weekly report
We're
this.
here. We're good.
That's a good thing.
All right. Commissioner reports. Any reports from you?
I don't have anything to report at the moment.
Ray?
No, I think we're doing great. I like the vision meeting that we had today. Moving forward.
I do have just a couple quick things to mention. The visioning workshop, I'm glad we finally got to it, and we're able to make some progress. Patty, I look forward to what you're putting together with all the information you received, that we actually are on the same plan and same page and going in the same direction finally. Two, again, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Many of you are unaware, but my mother is also a survivor, and one of my best friends is going through it right now. So this is a very personal issue for me. something that I think it's great that we were able to make a proclamation for awareness. Too many people lose this battle that really shouldn't. So luckily, my mom was able to make it through. But it's changed our family's lives. Very, very drastically. So I do have some announcements. Special magistrate will be Wednesday, October 20th at 9 a.m. Planning and zoning meeting will be Thursday, October 21st at 6 p.m. Charter Review Committee will be Monday, October 25th at 6 p.m. And the Workshop Committee meeting will be October 27th at 6 p.m. And Halloween is still a holiday and will be on October 31st. Not on here. The way things are going these days, we're still having a holiday, and my kids are looking forward to it. So, adjournment? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Time is, I don't even know what time it is. 9:03.